Chevy Silvador, and his job was saved, literally, by the auto bailout. Richard Wolff is with me tonight. He's a MSNBC political analyst, and Aaron McPiter, reporter for Real Clear Choices. Jim, let me start with you.
Okay.
Putting aside all of the politics, I'm fine and good to have you with us. Putting aside all of the politics and the bickering, let's put a human face on this. What would your life be like? How would it be different if President Obama didn't bail out the auto industry?
My life, my family's life would have been turned way upside down, Reverend. We're very thankful of the Obama administration and giving us the loans so that we could continue working and supplying monies toward our communities, and it would have been devastating to my family personally, as well as other families in the community, because every one of our jobs equals 8 on the outside, and I would have lost my home. Probably would have ended up having to sell everything I had just to make it. And
so you were on the verge of losing your home and having to sell everything had this bailout not happened.
Well, absolutely, because eventually, if I'm not working, there wouldn't have been any money left coming in. As you well know, Michigan was one of the hardest hit. We've lost thousands of manufacturing jobs, good paying jobs. And as you know also that a lot of homes have foreclosed, and I would have been right in that bunch right there. I would have lost my home. I'd have had to foreclose and move somewhere.
Jim,
I don't know where.
Jim, how do you feel then when you hear Republicans say that we shouldn't have bailed out the auto industry? Let me show you something that Willard Mitt Romney said. Let me show you something and tell me how you feel when you hear this.
Should they have used the funds to bail out General Motors and Chrysler? No, that was the wrong source for that funding.
Now, Willard Mitt Romney this week at the debate saying that we shouldn't have done it. It was the wrong source for this funding.
Yeah, I'd like to know what he's thinking, because I guarantee if he was in my situation, he was on there, he would have wanted them loans to come through to help support his family. And I have a special needs child. I mean, my health care and everything all depends on my job for my child. And wow. I just think I just can't believe that he would even think that. I mean, I got a question for any of the Republicans. To my knowledge, Reverend, I don't think they've passed one bill yet to create a job. And my question is, how can you stand up to the national anthem if you're at a ball game? How can you stand up and salute that flag knowing that you could have killed 1.4 million jobs in this country? They had stuck us in a depression, and I thank God every day for President Obama and the Democratic Party and what they've done for the working families of this country. And they've, as far as I can see, they've been fighting. And like I said before, I don't think the Republicans have done one thing to create a job.
Richard, you here and Jim, and I wanted to start the show tonight putting a human face on it, somebody that doesn't have a political axe to grind. You know, we're marching for jobs here tomorrow. So people understand. He says he has a child special needs, about to lose his house. I mean, this is real stuff. This is not some newspaper talk.
Right, real people, real jobs. You know, we often treat politics like a game, and these debates don't seem real, but they have real-world impact. And when you're asking to be president of the United States, what you decide affects real people. For Mitt Romney, whose essence of his whole candidacy is that he understands the economy, he understands businesses, for him to say that just then, never mind the question of whether you got a heart or whether you have jobs or whether you care about people losing their homes, doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because this program worked, number one. Number two, if you know anything about finance, there was no other source of this money in late 2008. The banks wouldn't lend to each other. Does he think that someone was going to give that money to GM? There was no money out there. The Federal Reserve was giving the money to McDonald's and big corporations to meet their payroll. That's how desperate it was. Mitt Romney saying that stuff kills his own credibility.
Aaron, how does the Republicans run against people like Jim? Forget they're running against the Democrats or the president. they're running against people like Jim that are saying very openly, I was on the verge of losing everything. I needed this bailout. I'm glad that it happened. How are they going to run against that?
I am not sure, but let me return that to Mitt Romney for just a minute, because Mitt Romney in late 2008 authored an op-ed in the New York Times, and the headline, now in fairness to the Romney campaign, the New York Times decided what the headline was going to be, but it was "Let Detroit Go Bankrupt." That will be a big challenge for him, because if Mitt Romney is the nominee, you will see that headline splashed across campaign commercials over and over and over again next fall, and that will be difficult for him to overcome.
Jim, you rolled your eyes when Aaron said that. I mean, what makes you, how do you feel when you hear a headline from a guy who wants to be president saying, let Detroit go bankrupt?
Wake up, America. Don't be fooled, because this guy is not for you. For working families, labor, firemen, police officers, everywhere you're at. Imagine if we wouldn't have had the fire department just like 9/11 down there to save all those people during the 9/11 attack, if those people would have gotten laid off under the Republican plan not to give this money out for this jobs, where would it have been then? That's what I ask you. And I mean, again, I go back to, what have you done to create a job? You've done nothing but hammer down everything President Obama has tried to do to help create jobs. And that's the one I see out there trying to help. I don't see what the Republicans are trying to do. I really don't.
Richard, let's look at this screen here. Yep. How trust in the president's job plan actually has gone up 9 points since September.
Yep.
They're going against the flow of public opinion.
Well, that's what tells you what happens when the president gets out there talking about this stuff. Because people don't really see the legislation going through. They don't understand how the sausage gets made. But what they hear is a president talking about jobs, saying he's fighting for jobs. Those numbers right there, I heard senior Democrats all week saying, this shows that if he carries on doing that, if this moves another 10 points, another 15 points over the next month or so, we're in a totally different landscape, not just for this legislation, this jobs bill, but also for the election. That changes the dynamic. So the president going out there making this case is having an impact on the numbers and ultimately has an impact on real people.
Well, I think that you're right in what you're saying, Richard. And Aaron, I thank you for being with us tonight, and Richard, of course. And thank you, Jim Gregory of the United Auto Workers. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to hear your story.
I want to say something too, Al, about this red shirt that I'm wearing right here, because you hear a lot of anti-American slogans toward unions and things like that, and we're very proud. Every worker back at Flint Assembly, we just put on a third shift with 750 jobs added to our plant. You can multiply that by 8, and then multiply that number by 3, because we got 3 shifts running. That's how many jobs we're going to be creating, thanks to that automobile loan that we got from the American people that we paid pretty much back. And I'm able to go and spend money at every grocery store, or go to Best Buy and buy an appliance, or to a lumber yard. And just that's just what I'm trying to tell you, how it, and our Union One benefits, that our health care is very important. It just all spreads around. But I just want to tell you one other thing, the reason why I'm wearing a red shirt. Every Friday at our plant, we wear red to honor our veterans and our armed forces that are over in Afghanistan fighting in Iraq for our freedoms, and we appreciate it. And I just want to let you know one other thing about the Flint Truck Assembly, the home of the HD Silverado. When 9/11 attack happened, just so the American people know, the labor, the union workers volunteered their labor. They stayed after work and built trucks for the New York City Fire Department, because of all the vehicles that they had ruined, and General Motors donated those trucks. And we started that. As far as I know today, not one transplant, the ones at Shelby and Corker and the rest of them, are all supporting these foreign automakers that do nothing, as far as I know, for the American people, that what we've done. They only sent their condolences. So
well,
I just
Jim,
want to
let
get
me
that
say
out.
this. I'm glad you got it out, and I want you to come back again, and I want you to bring some of the other workers with us, because people in America need to understand beyond the beltway politics in this town, this is not about just politics, who's up, who's down, which party's in. This is about people like you, like your child. People that have worked and sweated all their lives that were on the brink of losing everything, and some have. That's why we're marching in D.C. tomorrow. People have got to be above our politics. This is not about anybody in Washington. This is about the Jim Gregorys of this world. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. Ahead.